Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Destiny Patterson. Here's the first alert of what you'll see in our newscast tonight. At 10:02, protecting our children in our future. New tonight, an Arklatex police chief presents a timely presentation on how his department handles active shooting situations. Then at 10:12, see why driving on I-10 may be a headache now, but a joyride later. We saw rain earlier today, but the weekend appears to be hot, dry, and humid. Tonight, we're giving you a first alert on weekend heat across the Arklatex. Joining me now is First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jeff Castle. And Jeff, I know we talked about this at length earlier, but triple digits are possible coming up.
Yeah, not just on the thermometer, but certainly the feels like numbers easily are going to be above 100. Keep in mind when you factor in the humidity, this is kind of what it feels like to the average person. And tomorrow afternoon, 105 to 110 on those readings. But it is possible before the weekend is out that some of you will actually see 100 degrees on the thermometer. And we're going to be talking all about the heat, including these dangerously high feels like numbers coming up in your First Alert forecast. Right now, though, not too bad out there. Most of us have settled back into the 70s. We still have 81 in Center, Texas, and 84 degrees over in Longview. Numbers, though, will not change very much from where they are right now. In fact, by tomorrow morning, a quick warm-up is on the way. Should be a good pool day. That'll be about probably the only thing you may want to spend any appreciable amount of time outdoors doing. 83 around 10 in the morning, already pushing 90 by noon, and we will be into the mid-90s tomorrow afternoon. Do not forget the sunscreen UV index, pretty well maxed out, as it typically is this time of year. You can start to burn in within about 15 minutes or so, particularly if you are fair-skinned. Back in a few moments, we'll talk more about good pool weather into Sunday as well, and the possibility of being near a record high temperature at that point also coming up in your First Alert forecast.
New at 10, it's sad but true. The terms active shooter and school shooting have become a part of our everyday language. In the wake of the Uvalde school shooting and others, an East Texas police chief made a timely presentation on active shooter response plans. Bob Hallmark has more from Marshall.
At Thursday night's Marshall City Council meeting, Police Chief Cliff Carruth made a timely presentation.
You know, I think of Sandy Hooks, I think of Southern Springs, I think of, even here in the business district here in Marshall. We do have at the end of this month an active shooter 101 simuation training for every police officer at the Marshall Police Department.
And our preparedness for active shooters. People are talking a lot about it because some of the events that have taken place, like Uvalde. I've been in law enforcement for 32 years, and it's changed as far as the threats. You'd have to be from Mars not to realize that.
His plan, an updated, coordinated effort to combat active shooter scenarios, studying past incidents.
Every video, every event that takes place in the United States, we look at those videos, look and study. Training is not a one-time event, it's ongoing, it's continual.
I don't think spending money to put a gun in every teacher's hand is the answer. What equipment are you missing? Because when that happens, you have to be able to communicate. It shouldn't just be a teacher hovering in a corner on her cell phone.
One of their questions is, what resources do you need to make sure that we can keep the community safe?
Important to any active shooter response plan is coordination and time. Seconds count, and the training is critical.
You'd have to train. It's a consistent basis of training, exercise, and more so in this day and time when so many incidents pops up.
Carruth informed the council his plan has been in place for the past 3 years, keying on coordination.
Working with the school district, working with the fire department, the sheriff's office, so at the hospital, make sure we're ready for something that we pray that never happens.
Bob Hallmark.
The chief told City Council the department needs a new radio system for police to communicate with all agencies that could help coordinate in an active shooter situation. See something, say something. That's the message an Arklatex organization has for the Marshall community after a shooting at City Trends left 2 women hurt Monday. Marshall Against Violence focuses on reducing crime and raising public awareness. Leaders of the organization say it takes both police and people to fight crime in the city.
When can we say enough is enough? We need people to come on board, help us. I'm the type, I've made my statements about the police department. But if they're willing to do their part, then the people here in Marshall need to be willing to do their part to make sure that we have a city that's going to be safe for all.
McFarland told us she started the organization after she lost her brother and her father to gun violence. Marshall police are still searching for 39-year-old Montrell Haddon. He's wanted on charges connected to that shooting at City Trends. He was last seen driving a white 2021 Chevy Silverado. That license plate is there on your screen, NZS7510. He is considered armed and dangerous, so if you see him, call 911. Here's the first alert to some of the top stories in our KSLA News 12 app right now. Today, community activists came together to bring attention to problems at one Shreveport housing complex. We walked through the Clear Horizon New Zion apartments on Illinois Avenue. Apartment residents complained about water problems, mold, dead rodents, and at least one apartment, a missing front window. Councilwoman Tabitha Taylor, former Caddo Commissioner Michael Williams, current Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, and members of the NAACP were also there.
So this is what a criminal can do.
So I can literally come into the house.
Look at that.
And open up the door and walk in.
No. Does your refrigerator work?
We tried to speak to a member of the apartment management while we were there, but she refused to comment. A driver escaped unharmed after their vehicle became stranded on train tracks. It happened this morning in Blanchard on West Alexander Avenue. Authorities say the train pushed the vehicle just over a mile before coming to a stop, and that crash sparked a small fire, which crews were able to quickly put out. That driver now faces a DUI charge. A Texarkana, Arkansas teen is facing charges related to a shooting in the city that hurt a man. The shooting happened Tuesday night on Ferguson Street. The victim is expected to be okay. Police have arrested the teen, and now he's facing several charges, including a terrorist act. Now you can stay connected through our News 12 app. It's free to download, and we'll send you the first alert to any breaking or developing news that we cover throughout the day. New at 10, it was a lively night at the latest Longview City Council meeting. Council members discussed the city's role in paying for a new amphitheater that would be built off of Interstate 20. The discussion was used to clear up misinformation about where the money was coming from and how the city only has to pay $12 million at the end of completion. They also talked about how the city would not be responsible for the upkeep or operational expense of the amphitheater. The $12 million is in the city's capital improvement plan budget.
After tonight, we realize we do have funds available if we were to so choose to spend those funds in that manner, but we're still years away from that. We just needed to see where we stood to see if we could even continue discussion, but now that we know we potentially could, now it's time to uncover additional information that is important to us and to our constituents that live in the community.
The project is not set in stone, and Mayor Mack says the council will continue to examine the project and call in the developers if needed.
Well, dangerous heat conditions are going to be a possibility throughout the upcoming weekend. I'll have a preview coming up in your first alert forecast.